Hey everybody, Jonathan Broadbent here, your host of UnWoke.Academy. Welcome to another episode. If you are watching this live from one of the various streaming platforms, feel free to like and share this. Let's get as many people as possible into this discussion today. There's something that I want to talk about having to do with being aware, educating ourselves, and making sound, smart choices in health, wealth, and welfare of ourselves and our families. So the more people that join in the conversation, the better, which reminds me, I'm going to switch over to comments and make sure I pick up anything you might choose to include in the chats. If you're watching this live and in person on any of the various platforms we're on, feel free to add comments, ask questions, and I'll try to incorporate those. For those of you who may not know, I am the voice of Precinct Strategy, or one of the voices. Dan Schultz and I host a weekly X Spaces presentation on something called Precinct Strategy. It's not directly related to Unwoke, or actually, it's not really related at all, although there are elements that I see where there's overlap. For instance, I talk a lot about the February 21st release of Donald Trump's investment policy statement and the political action necessary to see it through. So, Precinct Strategy is a space that comes out. We host it every Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and Friday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're on the social media platform X, come and join us for the conversation. We talk a lot about the importance for we, the people, to get involved at the local level to impact the change that we want to see. That's how we get it done. If you are one of those people that's frustrated about fill in the blank issue, and we talk a lot about those, let's face it, we talk about the open borders and election systems and whatever, you name it, there are people out there that are concerned about issues. The way to solve those issues, the way to actually take action and address them is through Precinct Strategy. That is also a website, precinctstrategy.com. Go check it out. The guy behind that, Dan Schultz, he and I host a weekly space on it. But my reason for bringing that up is I was co-hosting today. It's Tuesday, after all, Tuesday at 2 Eastern. We opened up a space and had a discussion. You'll find a recording of that if you go and find me or Dan on the social media platform X. But I jumped into the conversation and talked about how we know truth. What do we want, and how do we go after the things that are important to us? In the past, and I've admitted before, and I will continue to admit that I'm ex Wall Street. I'm a Wall Street guy. I was honored and felt very flattered years ago to have been recruited in the niche that I work in for Wall Street. So I went to go and work for Wall Street, and I saw the glitz and glamour side of it. I also saw the underbelly of it. And I saw some major issues that I called out. And frankly, I got in big trouble for years ago. I got threatened with legal action, et cetera. That's a long story. I've covered that in the past. Um, but I saw the the creation of mass appeal of Wall Street. And I understand there is an attractiveness to it. There's a great marketing behind the logo. There are glitzy looking, glamorous buildings, marble and ornate woodwork and fancy, beautiful desks and offices. And once again, I'm going to draw the analogy to healthcare because I live in close proximity to a few very beautiful looking hospital systems. But when I look at them and I look at the health implications, I can clearly, once I decide to look into it and look at the statistics, I can see that the people going into and through those health systems are not, in my book, ending up healthier. They're ending up actually worse off from a health standpoint. So you're talking about significantly higher cost. Much of the cost is sort of obscured by the fact that it goes through other entities like taxpayer offsets, et cetera, and insurance companies covering parts of it. But ultimately, you're looking at very high cost for what I consider to be not very good health. And in a similar regard, just a different, another analogy, because I'm one of those people also who's advocated and continue to advocate for a return to traditional education. As a side note, I mentioned this the last time I did a podcast. I was surprised to discover a few weeks ago that I now have an IMDb page because I figured into the Newsmax documentary Transforming America. You'll find me there also, being a voice advocating for a return to education. My reason for bringing that up is that's another universe where you may find beautiful looking buildings with all sorts of glamorous appearance, but in my book, it's a facade. When we now, as a nation, grapple with the fact that we have roughly 30% literacy rate among school age children, and there are areas where we have single digit or maybe 0% proficiency in many of the basic core curriculum, like mathematics, English, etc., biology, the sciences. That's a major problem. The point I'm getting to is don't fall into the trap. Don't fall into the idea that some glamorous looking building is your best option. Because sometimes, often, they may be really expensive, high profit margin unhealth, and hence unwoke. I came from Wall Street and I can see that analogy. I can see those parallel universes playing out in grocery stores. There are beautiful looking grocery stores that have garbage in them, and it's high profit margin garbage. There are beautiful looking schools that will soak up your kids and effectively destroy them over a period of 12 years with anger and animosity and sexual and gender confusion, race baiting, all kinds of terrible stuff. And people connected to that make huge profit off of it. I mean, I've got school districts near me above $40,000 per year per student for government run schools, K through 12. That's horrible. That's egregious and awful. And actually, where I live, on top of the school district cost per pupil, we also have another extra hidden layer on a separate balance sheet called educational service centers. We've got them all throughout the state, so that adds to it. So if you peel the onion and find $43,000 per student per year, you can add probably, I don't know, 3,000 to that. So maybe you're at 45, $46,000 per year per pupil to achieve maybe barely literate. And my book, in that example, in that sort of parallel universe, that similar environment, I can go to and I can point out beautiful looking buildings. And at that figure, those kids they should have a personal limo ride and a personal chef at $45,000 per year, not what they're ending up with. Same thing in healthcare. There are people now, and thankfully, a lot of us are waking up to the fact that the healthcare systems that we want to rely on don't always, in fact, I might argue seldom, actually have our health and well-being at heart. It's profit driven. We saw it in spades with COVID. COVID came out and there were these top-down protocols that were mandated, and they were, from everything I'm able to see, they were profit-centric and had nothing to do with trying to find the healthiest way forward for any individual. Now, Wall Street. Wall Street's the same. I can tell you, having gone through very high level, I've traveled the country from east to west, north to south. I've done educational training. I've actually hosted and run education of some very high level officials, both state, public, and private, and some unions, into fiduciary due diligence, into investment management. And it's the same. It is unfortunately very much the same. Where you come in, where we come in, is informing ourselves. If you can take it upon yourself to become better educated about nutrition and make yourself a healthier person, kudos to you. I think you should. I hope more people do. If you can take it upon yourself to learn about whatever government schools are near you and their shortcomings, and maybe, hopefully, find a better answer for the children in your life, kudos to you. I applaud you for that effort. If you are one of those people who has switched from buying whatever happens to be on the closest grocery store shelf to purchasing healthier foods to try to be a healthier person, kudos to you. The next step, and I believe fundamental to trying to reclaim our nation, to fight back against the globalist cabal, is going unwoke in your investment management. What I mean by that is not just trying to get yourself out of harm's way and invest in better things, but also defund the woke. What we have now, go back, if you haven't seen it already, go back and watch that episode that I did on the globalist bubble. I've done a series of episodes illustrating that effectively what most people, and believe I can comfortably say most, have been steered into a small number of investments that are antithetical to the interests of the United States and the West, a small number of drastically overfunded globalist companies. If you're on social media, you're probably reading about the globalist push that's taken place over the last 5+ years. Are you funding it? That's a fundamental question. UnWoke.Academy, which is I bill us as kind of the America's frontline doctors of finance. That's why I draw those analogies to other arenas like healthcare, et cetera. Certainly, I'm not working in healthcare. There is some overlap. There are some areas where, if we draw a Venn diagram, there's some commonality. For instance, the funding of big pharma. You may be a big part of that. And what I want to encourage people to do is look for and find better answers. Over time, since I started Unwoke Investing, that's actually how I launched as kind of the whistleblower to put daylight on companies that went woke, that bought into, or actually, I can't even say bought into because it's pure fiction, and I've illustrated that, but they were sort of pitching and selling this whole narrative of DEI, which stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance, and all the woke stuff like it. Ultimately, the stuff ended up being fiction. It was a veneer that was put on in order to justify steering vast trillions of dollars into just a few companies that supposedly checked all the boxes. Well, now those few globalist companies have way too much money. Just to put a little finer point on that, I've mentioned this before, I was in a webinar a few weeks ago where one of the presenters made a really interesting comment. This presenter said, if you believe in the current stock price of Apple stock, then you believe that we, the world, will live in Apple homes, drive Apple vehicles, use Apple devices, and stream Apple services. It's that inflated. There's so much money that went into Apple stock, and that's not appropriate. Not only does that send the wrong message to big, far left, woke, globalist companies, it also takes away, it subtracts from funding that could be going to the next new thing. It kills and destroys competition. That is antithetical. It's the opposite of free market. So through Trump's February 21st Make America America First policy statement, I almost said Make America Great Again. It's his other slogan. America First policy statement released on February 21st, and the efforts of UnWoke.Academy, we want to push people in a healthier, better direction. So I've been saying for years now, if you're the type of person who is giving second thought to sending your kid on that yellow bus for 12 years to have them come back some sort of far left communist Marxist, gender confused and hypersexualized, and probably maybe barely literate, not understanding civics or geography. If you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about education. If you're the type of person who's making shifts and changes in your behaviors to be a healthier person, eat healthier, better foods, and if you're taking those types of life steps, I want to encourage you to look at the information that's available on UnWoke.Academy. We've shaped it a few different ways. Everything is free. Every once in a while, I may do a 3-day delay where our subscribers may get it a little bit earlier, but then it unlocks, it goes free. You can take that information anywhere with you. That's the beauty of UnWoke.Academy. It's a go anywhere answer, which is the opposite of those things that I was trained to do in my years leading up to and my years on Wall Street. The big thing on Wall Street was to try to build a mega company that did everything for everybody. Well, anybody who's fair and honest about that, including myself and most of my friends that work in finance, there is no one company that is the end all be all for everything to everybody. There is no company that is the best bank, the best payroll company, the best investment manager, the best financial planner, the best credit and lending, the best credit card. Really, if you want the best thing to do is give yourself a go anywhere type of solution. That's why all the information, the research that we do at UnWoke.Academy gets shared out publicly. I hope you use it in good health and good faith. And if you do have friends or family members who work in finance, direct them to this show, because I'm hoping that more people gravitate toward this program, UnWoke.Academy. Some contact me. Actually, I've had many conversations with people in unexpected facets of finance, and I share with them my opinion. Overwhelmingly, I'll lift the curtain a little bit. It started years ago with some uncomfortable conversations. There were people that didn't want to have the conversation. Many said, uh, I even had people say, I won't talk to you on a work line, I'll call you back from my mobile. And then they would say they were very worried for their job because, kind of like doctors who during COVID questioned the narrative that everybody needed to have jabs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or whatever they got up to with the COVID jabs and then the boosters and stuff. In similar fashion, there were people in the world of finance who were very worried about questioning everybody, virtually everybody, being funneled into the same small number of investments. Now that's changed a bit. I do have people throughout the world of finance who speak with me pretty openly. They won't post on it. They know that the days would be numbered if they work for one of the big companies and a big bank or big investment manager or Wall Street type of firm. If they posted something or were public, um, by the way, there is a side note connected to that. I do actually have software that can alter the voice and blur the image of anybody that would like to come on this show with me and prove counterpoint or share their experiences with the woke on Wall Street. I've not had opportunity to use it yet, but I can do that. And for anybody that might be interested, I can show it to you beforehand so you can be comfortable. I will protect your identity and keep your information confidential. But I do want to have, pardon me, I do want to have more conversations with people in the world of finance who are willing to step up and challenge this stuff because it's bad. It's really bad. It is the opposite of everything everybody over the age of 15 has ever learned about the world of finance. There are certain ways we do things, and they're done that way for a reason. And when we turned it completely on its ear and ignored all of the standards and rules, I feel like I have a sneeze. Pardon me. If we ignore all of the rules, we have disrupted many hundreds of trillions of dollars. Just for a basis of comparison, in the United States, the our retirement accounts combined are an estimated $35.7 trillion. You're talking about $36 trillion. That's just in the retirement accounts that are self-directed. Add to that all the pension funds, the endowments, the foundations. You're talking about many, and then go global. Look at Europe and Asia, Middle East. A lot of that money has been it's been artificially steered into just a small number of companies. Anybody not recognizing that that's unhealthy, I think you should rethink your stance on that or debate me. I'd be happy to have that as well. By the way, I'm keeping an eye on the comments, not seeing any roll in on this discussion. But if something does occur to you, let's say that maybe you don't want to share it publicly, or you're not somewhere right now where you can communicate on the issue, send questions to info@unwokeinvesting.com. I will eventually get those. It may take a little time. I'll try to get to your questions and post answers, and of course, keep you anonymous. So, UnWoke.Academy shares information that can be used anywhere. It's go anywhere information. There is also an offshoot. It's purely elective. We started the Financial PMA. It is actually financialpma.com. You'll see a short video from me introducing that for anybody who would like. Sorry about that. I thought I'd muted my phone. For anybody who would like kind of a do it for me option, we created that to give people an outlet. So there's all kinds of stuff. We have people that are taking the information and going onto a platform of your choice, whatever. I recommend a discount brokerage platform. Go anywhere, wherever you like. If you like one of those trading platforms, you have accounts already, add to it, or just apply our metrics and the unwoke guidance and go anywhere. Or we have relationships with many different platforms and are happy to help you get set up and deliver that guidance for you. Whatever ultimately is needed, that's what the Financial PMA was created for. The nice thing about it is we can strip out all or virtually all of the management fees, the advisory fees for almost everybody out there. They drop massively. So when we get rid of a lot of fees, everything else being equal, you save more money. So take a look at the Financial PMA. The last piece of that, I've actually done some recent looks in just a general rate of comparison. I'm looking at charts for S&P 500 because a lot of people reference that as sort of an indication of the markets, quote unquote. Don't get me started on the manipulation of indexes, et cetera. But the S&P 500 as an index, about just using a 6-month span, in 6 months, it was a little bit above 6,000 6 months ago. And right now it's just a little below 6,000. So it's pretty flat. Avoiding the woke, and I've been talking about this for months, years actually, the managers out there who managed to avoid going woke in their portfolio. They didn't buy into the far left woke ESG, DEI, CRT narrative. Those managers did better. We're not a portfolio manager, but we are creating non-woke guidance, and we're tracking that. We talk about it on a regular basis. The companies out there that are not woke. And in recent analysis from one of the people who is managing investments based on that, we have a portfolio that over that same span is up significantly, double digits. That is a significant rate of return. Not everybody's going to experience the same thing. It depends on a lot of factors. But this is some person that is experiencing tremendous success in large part because what we're doing is, the old Wayne Gretzky adage, skate to where the puck is going to be, not where the puck is. When we read the America First policy statement from Trump back from February, the writing's on the wall. It's clear. We need to get out of those small number of globalist mega overfunded bubble and into small business enterprise. And if we can pick some small business enterprise, and we've got, what do we have? Around 40 investments in this portfolio. This is somebody who's investing directly. Some of them are up, some of them are down. On average, we're talking about significant double-digit growth of the portfolio on average. All I've done is just taken the average of the percentage returns for the same 6-month span. That's what we're after. And very importantly to this person and everybody else who's in the financial PMA or following this guidance on their own, you know what you own and you can look at it and you can feel confident and comfortable. It's not some mutual fund that has a bunch of woke garbage underneath that probably is poised for doom and disaster in my book, or investing in those companies that you find morally reprehensible. So I think it's a win-win-win all the way around. So that's what we've designed. That's the financial PMA. It sort of originated because a lot of people who were following UnWoke.Academy, by the way, thank you to all our subscribers and listeners. If you can, well, a couple of things. Find us on whatever platforms you like. UnWoke.Academy redirects to a Substack. We're using that platform right now because it's a great place to do long form content and embed some video, share a lot of content. Follow us there, subscribe, share it, post your comments and questions there if you can. As I said, if you don't want to be public, if you want to be kept confidential, just send it to me. I'll keep your name anonymous and answer your questions publicly. That email again is info@unwokeinvesting.com. The objective here is to make people healthier all across the board. Go back to the beginning of this episode. Think about the type of people that we're trying to appeal to. We're appealing to the people who have decided not to put their kid on that yellow bus for 12 years for a lack of education at high fee. We're appealing to the people who have decided to take their health and wellness into their own hands and make better choices about their dietary, what they eat, those kinds of things. And my job, my role, and my focus at UnWoke.Academy is to help people to be awake and aware of the hidden dangers of Wall Street, the woke on Wall Street. I don't mean to disparage an entire marketplace, but I will say that the overwhelming majority of the investment managers that I've spoken with over the past 5 years were perfectly happy when that veneer was on to slap that label of ESG or CRT, DEI, whatever, because it attracted money. They got money in, and I find that behavior morally reprehensible. To the few out there who stood up to that and said they weren't buying into it, kudos to them. From everything I'm seeing, they held up a lot better. Their investment portfolios did way better than the managers that went woke. And now, especially as the pendulum swings and we come back from that far left, we have a much brighter future for those who invest wisely. That's what I hope for you. This has been another episode of UnWoke.Academy. I'm Jonathan Broadbent, your host. Thanks for listening.